So this is an exercise in approaching and closing on an opponent, okay? Controlling measure between the two of us. And we've just started the exercise with a static partner, okay? So he's standing there completely static. So he'll walk out, set his position for the exchange of thrust, which is the technique we're using in this exercise. And I'm going to go ahead, come forward, and make my attack. And I want to be in a good measure. I want to be long like this. As I discussed a moment ago, I don't want to be like this in making the thrust. Okay? And also, I should be able to walk him back. So as soon as it touches, go ahead and walk back. So coming forward, I should be able to move him back. I should be able to pursue there and be steady enough to do that. Even the initial thrust, though, you can feel it poking you a bit, right? I'm being nice, right? I'm not jabbing and jamming him, but I am following through on it. Now, his response to that is going to be, of course, to defend. So I come in, set this, come into the attack, and he does an exchange of thrust. Notice how I move back? Because I want him to get out into a long position too. I want him to be in a position where he's really pursuing that thrust at a good measure and a good angle here. Okay? Instead of me having stayed here and him having to do something like that. You can't see very well, but you can see that his arms are really compressed. So I'm moving back. Okay? That helps him to stretch his action out properly, to get his arms properly out there. It's also good for me to think about, oh, that point's coming towards me, maybe I should move away from it. Okay? Just good basic training right there. So that's what we've done so far. Now we're going to add to it. Can you make the attack? Sure. And I'll make the defense. Yeah. This time, we're going to start at the same moment, and Luke's going to go ahead and attack me. Just as I get there, he makes his attack, right? Okay? And he's ready to go at that moment. So we're coming out. The initial ones, I'm going to let him catch me off guard here and make that. Then, the next thing I'll do is make the exchange, okay? And you all notice my feet in there? My left foot moved sideways and backwards a little bit to open up the distance there because it felt like I needed it. So I did that. Could you be much longer this time? So if he's much further out, I might actually step more directly towards him. Still a bit of an angle off to help close that line. But I might close towards him. Can you really push me? Okay. If for some reason he's really close and really pushing me, I can move backwards. I can do anything I want with my feet that gets me in the proper position, proper measure, so that I end up like this in the action. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's the drill. 5 times, you're walking forward, and you receive those first 5 attacks. Right there. The next 5, he's coming in, he delivers the attack, you defend, okay? Like that. Now I'm doing this in a deliberate sort of 1-2 style, okay? Just so you're aware, and some of you are aware, you can also handle it this way, where you hit him a little bit more directly in there, okay? But what I'd like most of you to do, and the ones who know they can do the other one, you know who you are, okay? What I'd like most of you to do is this, followed by this, right here. You see the difference between the two? Okay, we'll go ahead and start. Your partners over here can help. Sorry.
That's okay.
Now, don't stretch forward. Don't lean forward. Yeah.
I was out of measure.
Yeah. If you're short, you're short.
Okay.
So I'm gonna get into.
Oh, you know what? I'm screwing up my footwork. Sorry.
Take it a little slower than that.
I'm not doing a last passing step.
I think you were a little far in the measure there.
More of those guys.
1, 2, 3.
It's going to change the angle of your exchange a little bit.
Like we did before, so. Let's see here. We'll let you up to because he has to collapse on this stuff.
I do aim a little bit lower at him for this exercise.
Okay.
I won't move it as far. 1, Release. Then you thrust.
We'll not lean over and so we can stay on that.
The 5?
4.
4.
One more.
Can't count. Oh, I totally
Yeah, I'm usually so busy trying to translate left to right.
One more.
So again, when I make this thrust, it's a thrust coming low. And notice that my hands are relatively low here as I make that thrust. So I'm not doing this like that. That's going to change Luke's response a little bit. I dare say he'd go for a break if I did that instead of an exchange. Okay, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to return to the thrust we want for the exercise. And Luke had a point he wanted to make about the exchange thrust.
So, as I defend and gain the line off to my side here and I exchange the thrust, look where the weak of my sword is, or the point of my sword is, and my structure is nice and strong down here. Be careful of, as you return this thrust, dropping it down low. Look how it changes the leverage, and you can easily gain something by coming up like that. So, what did I do there? All I did is I dropped my point from here to here. Be careful of doing that. Keep the point nice and high so as you exchange the thrust, you have the point remains high. Your target is right there. So it's a high exchange against a low initial thrust.
Scott, harnesses of our period. Is that a good shot?
Yep.
It's an excellent shot right there. Yeah, and the cut of our jacket actually kind of follows that too. Right, and there's a nice place to hit, even if they're wearing armor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So the lesson here, we want to advance the exercise. I've been talking a lot about the measure between you. You need to keep it open. You need to maximize your reach. And we're using thrusts for this exercise because thrusts are the longest attack you can make with a sword. Okay, they're longer than the cut. Because necessarily with the cut, I've got to overlap the target, whereas the thrust, I just have to get to the target. Obviously, I'm going to go into the target a little bit as well. But I've got a little bit more reach there. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm using thrusts for this exercise. The concept is portable to all other actions. Okay? But we'll stick with the thrust for now. Just a little bit of room here. So, we're going to build it up 1, 2, 3.
What am I doing first?
You're just going to do the Scambiar.
Okay.
So, I'm going to go ahead and come in, make my attack. There. That's a little bit far, but he'd probably still pay attention to it. Let me get it just perfect. Sure. A little bit better. All right, so now he's going to go ahead and exchange that. And there it is. Okay. Now you notice I didn't really wait for him to hit me to start moving back. Why should I? Okay. There's no reason on earth I should stand there and just take it. What I need to do though in this situation is move to cover. And that's what measure is helping me do. I just realized you're doing this left hand, you'll have to flip it.
I can flip it right.
Yeah, let's flip it for right. Because most everybody's right-handed here. So I need that measure, I want that measured so that I can come up with a counter in there. And in this case, I want to use a point-based counter. I want to stay in largo, okay? So jogo largo is wide play where we're using the weapons to their extent and their reach, right? We're staying away from the other person. Jogo stretto is where we get in and we start grappling and wrestling, and I don't want to do that, okay? There might be any number of reasons why I don't want to do that, but just except for now, sometimes you don't want to do that. So let's build it up again, 1, 2, 3. So the first part of the exchange works like this, or the exercise. There. Second part, he's going to go ahead and counter me. And again, I'm going to move back. The next part, when he comes in, I'm going to gain control of his blade. Let's look at how I do that. First of all, you notice that I step back. I chose to do a full mezza volta backwards, you know, a full step backwards. There are other ways I could move my feet. But that allows me to get my blade into a position. Let's see this. Real slow. He's on my weak. I'm on his weak. I just draw up through frontale, which is really what I'm doing. I'm moving through posta frontale. Capture his weapon and go forward once again. When I do that, when I pull through, the thing that makes it frontale is I'm pulling back like this. Okay, posta frontale, posta frontale. Same thing. So I come out. And there I go. Okay. Just like that. So you see what I'm doing in that instance? Does anybody have any questions about the basic aspects of it? Here's the key to making the exercise work. And I'm going to take my mask off for a minute. Key to making the exercise work is 1, initial thrust is that long measure. There. That was maybe a bit long. I'd like to actually make that slightly shorter. Initial thrust is that long measure there. That was perfect because my point hit at the same time my foot was landing. That's exactly what you want. Counter is happening at that measure too, which means that he's got to cover that distance. I'm covering some of it for him, but he's got to cover the rest of it. He's got to cover the rest of it because I've kept it deliberately wide. Okay? Even if he does it as a single shot forward, he's still got to cover that measure. That gives me an opportunity to set up and employ a counteraction. That space is critical to that. If I'm close, that won't happen. He'll hit me before I'm able to do it. The most I'll do is bring it up into my face. Not a real win in my book. Okay. Everybody see the basics of that. Okay. Now, speed at which you do the drill. Nice and slow. You do it at that speed and do it well, I'll be really, really happy. If you do it faster and not as well, I'll be less happy. So go slow. Go slow, because you're going to learn it better that way. You're going to learn it much better that way. Questions?
Can I say something?
Please.
Okay, so the thing that I'm doing is the same thing we were just doing. It's the exchange of thrust.
Yeah.
And I'm still trying to do the exchange of thrust.
Yeah, he hasn't quit.
If he didn't do his counter to that, I would hit him. He's moving back through my motion, so I still have to have intention to hit him.
Right. If he suddenly froze at that moment, and I started to pull back the way I didn't demonstrate, I would actually lose his sword entirely because it's not coming at me. So his sword needs to come in. Let's show that.
Yeah. I just find it's easy to lose that intention halfway through because you know you're going to be stabbed, right?
That's very true. So,
with intention.
It's coming towards me. And by the way, I'm just doing an exchange of thrust of my own. I'm just, adapting it slightly to the fact that this blade's coming in at that angle. Just coming back over the blade and coming back out. Everybody see that? Slow. Relaxed. Thank you. Thank you. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
So the question Scott had, let's just go ahead and recreate it, was, in the exercises Luke and I demonstrated, the hits are coming high up the chest and so forth, okay? Well, Scott's question was, and we'll just do it without walking in, he's coming forward, okay? I'm covering, coming in here, he pulls back, and this happens right here. His partner raised her hands like that. That leaves the flank open. Hit the flank. Yeah, absolutely, okay? All that matters is that you've controlled the sword and you have an available target and the measure and time in which to act. Okay? When we set the exercise up, we're setting up the, we refer to them as conventional exercises because they follow conventions, right? We set out all these rules for how the exercise is going to go. The reason we set those rules out is so that we can study a concept and keep that concept very, very clear in that one execution. And then we can make it portable to other situations, right? And once we understand the concept really well, we can say, oh, the blades were in a different sort of arrangement here, but the same thing actually happened. It all worked out the same way. Okay, does that make sense? so that's why exercises are set up that way. Okay, so here's the thing that Luke and Fiore talks about. There's the attack, there's the remedy, and there's the counter, all right? So when we see the attack and the remedy in the manuscript, we see this guy coming in, we see the remedy, and the remedy master and all their scholars completely destroy this poor schlub who's attacking. Every time, it's just tedious. And then this countermaster appears, like magic, out of nowhere. Except that it's not like magic, he's the person who's making the original attack. Okay, that's the countermaster right there. The attack is an opportunity to set up an action. Okay, I might not hit in my first intention. In fact, my first intention might be to not hit at all, but rather to draw an action for him. Okay, so that I can follow another one. If I give him a very clear path to follow, I have a much better chance of countering it. And that's what our exercise was. Let's go all the way through, okay? So if I'm coming in, and I give him a very clear, just shoot all the way to it. If I give him a very, very clear path to follow, hey, exchange this. Thank you. I like that, okay? If I give him something to do that's pretty clear, and he does it, I have a really good chance of countering that thing. So it's setting up the action. Let's flip it so you do 3. I'll throw my mask on. Now, counter to the counter, Fiore says is rare, and there's a reason for that, okay? Because things get complicated once too many things are happening, all right? So let's see, you're going in and throwing the attack. We'll go right to your action in 3. So, yeah, let's do it again. Okay. So we'll cut that out on the editing room floor. You've seen that one before, right? This palm strike. Wasn't the distance a little bit wide for that?
Not in the end.
Not in the end. Let's look at why it wasn't wide. And this is something that I did with the more advanced folks the other night. Okay? And I just want to point you with it. Right there. What's happening now? He's moving towards me, and if I move towards him in that moment, we're in stretto distance right there. I can close right at that point and get the palm strike. Okay? That's an example of how a largo measure situation can abruptly collapse into stretto. Abruptly collapse into stretto. Now, for me to plan that out as the 4th move when I don't actually know what his initial attack is going to be, that's a little tough. But planning out the 3rd move when I know what my initial attack is going to be, that's much easier. Hence why the counter to the counter as a strategic concept, as something you can plan, is rare. It might be something you find, and the better trained we are, the more of these we find. But planning it is going to be much harder. Does that make sense? Okay. I think that's all we have time for right now. So, thank you, Luke. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and line up.